Hey, everyone, and welcome to the sportsbookreview.com NCAA show. It is week 0. That's right. We are talking about actual games. We are very excited to do that. My name is Sam Walter.
I'm Christopher Giannini.
We're going to talk 4 games of week 0. It's not the most glorious set of games to talk about, but it's games to talk about. And we're going to break those down, give you our picks, and get you as ready as possible to bet on week 0. Before we go, head on to sportsbookreview.com. All of the betting information that you could possibly want is there. You'll see the lines. You can shop for the lines. You can find money lines. Everything is there. Also, click on like and subscribe and share the YouTube video with all your friends. You like what we're doing? We'd love to talk to more people. Share it out. Also, click on the description below for all the links that we're going to be talking about to sportsbookreview.com for more college football information. And we're going to be good to go. Chris, we've got some news and notes to get through before we get into our picks today. I think one of the biggest bits of news has to do with the University of Georgia, a team that a lot of people are thinking is going to be right there at the end of the day, at least in the SEC championship, if not contending for the playoff. Number 5 ranked going into the season, opening up with a game against Clemson that all eyes are going to be on. And that is easily the marquee game of week 1. But they got a little bit of injury situation. Tell us about that.
Yeah, losing 2 big defensive players. They're going to be starters. I think they were projected to be starters. Definitely rotational guys will affect this defense. Kirby's being pretty cagey about how long they're going to be out for, which always scares me. It makes me feel like it's worse than it is. If it wasn't bad, they would tell you it's not bad, and then they would be open and honest and clear, and these guys will be there before week 1. When they're always cagey, very vague, very dicey, very looks like they're hiding stuff, lets me know that's probably worse than it is. And I am looking at my projections, our previews, our thoughts about Clemson, Georgia, thinking these 2 gentlemen aren't going to be there.
I mean, I agree, but he's playing games. And that's all this is, leading up to the start of the season. It's playing games. If Clemson has to prepare for either Darnell Washington, Tyke Smith, either of those guys to not be there, and they have to over prepare, theoretically that's less time that they have to prepare on other facets of the game. I don't buy into that. I think it's dumb. Yeah. But coaches do love to play little games with each other. No one loves to say it to you straight. It hurts us as gamblers because it makes it really hard to adjust and take into account what happening. Whether this is going to move the line or not kind of remains to be seen. So something to keep your eye out on as we get into week 1.
Well, interesting thing about that, the line, Vegas doesn't care that these 2 guys aren't going to be there or doesn't believe it, because they haven't moved the line, to my knowledge, since the line has come out. So it is still, well, I think it opened at -3.5 or 4, but it's at 3. It's been at 3 since before this injury. Clemson -3, Georgia +3. And it's still there. It hasn't moved because of this injury. So Vegas either doesn't care about the injury or doesn't believe these guys are going to miss.
And that far in advance, I don't see a lot of people moving the line.
Yeah, I'm
on it. I mean, you're not getting a ton of money coming in on the other end. Georgia's a dog here. So is this really going to move the line more towards Clemson? Just because 2 5-star guys are maybe not going to play and will be replaced by 2 maybe a little bit less experienced 5-star guys. I mean,
I just wonder how many people outside of sharps are getting action in on week 1 right now when we've got week 0 sitting in front of us, and we'll see, will it affect the line based on action? Maybe not the books moving the number, but based on action when the actual game of the week comes. Let me tell you what I love about week 0. Okay. I used to hate this, all right? I was an old man stuck in my ways, and I wanted us to start football, and I wanted us to start it all off. We have been without real football for so long. This is like putting a man in the woods, in the wilderness for so long, and then walking him in. You can't sit him down at a 5-star restaurant and just force feed him all of the bread and potatoes, steaks and soups and everything there is. He'll kill himself. He'll die. He can't take it all. You give him a little bit up front. And you say, hey, this is week 0. Just drink on some of this soup real quick and just let your system get used to taking in this, because this is what's going to happen is Saturday's going to roll around. We're going to do a live show before the games start. We're pumped off about that. And then kickoff is going to happen. And I'm going to be right there. You're going to be right there. All the fans are going to be right there. The whole college football world. And these games aren't great, but we don't need them to be great. We just need to get something in our system, something to get our blood pumping, so that when next Saturday gets here, we don't just have a heart attack and kill ourselves.
I know opening, your amuse-bouche, if you will, your opening taste being Nebraska, Illinois, may not whet everyone's appetites, but up here in Big Ten country, that's at least something to talk about.
Yeah, you got a divisional game to start.
I know. Before we kind of break down that game, we should probably talk about the quote-unquote elephant in the room with the NCAA investigation into the Nebraska program. Scott Frost, kind of in the news of late. They were running illegal practices last year. They had consultants or guys who should not have been on the field.
They're classified as analysts.
Yeah, analysts.
Most people use graduate assistants for those things, and nobody really cares what those guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are making a much bigger deal about this than it should. This shouldn't affect Nebraska in any way this year. What it does do is it, creates a paper trail. So if Nebraska has a bad season, which I think they will, it gives them the ability to get rid of Scott Frost with cause and not have to pay him the $20 million buyout that exists if they fire him before the end of the year.
You're exactly right on that. This is why Mark Emmert is still employed. Mark Emmert is nothing but a stooge for the presidents. The presidents are able now to tell their athletic directors, give out any extensions you want, okay? Let's just keep meticulous, tedious notes on everything these coaches are doing. 100% of these football programs are bending rules somewhere, and if we ever want out of our contract with these coaches that are obscene and inappropriate and uncalled for, we'll just call in the old stooge, Mark Emmert, and he will show up with his gloves on, his rubber gloves, and he'll go, about elbow deep in these coaches, find a couple of minor infractions, and give the schools an out clause. And now they get to fire him for cause, like you said. And this is the only reason that puppet is there. And it enrages me. I am critical of Nebraska. I make fun of Nebraska. I pick on Nebraska a lot. Okay.
Hey, I've been picking on Nebraska since I was like 5 years old.
Well, that's right. You grew up a Colorado fan.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was an old Big 12 rivalry.
Big 8 even.
Oh wow. I'm
dating myself a little bit. Yeah.
I'm not that old.
Big 8.
But no, the problem is I want to criticize them for things they actually do that matter, and making up crap like we don't know that other analysts are on field all the time. Every picture, 100% of the pictures that we saw of Butch Jones, analyst, former head coach analyst, not GA analyst, by the way, at Alabama, was with him on the field, walking around players, coaching up kids, all this stuff. Also, Alabama fired Lane Kiffin, told Lane Kiffin to go off to your other job after winning a playoff game, and then allowed analyst Steve Sarkisian to be the OC of the national championship game. You think Nick Saban would allow somebody who has not had any player interaction whatsoever with this team to be the OC of his football team before a national championship game? Are you kidding me? No, the president, the NCAA, and the NCAA president, Mark Emmert, CEO, is going to cherry pick when he wants to enforce these things. And lo and behold, magically, we're going to find out that the only times he does it is when teams are looking to fire their coach. I bet he never does it once for teams that are thrilled with their head coach and never want them to leave. I bet he never shows up and does it.
Yeah, that's very true. So we don't really think this is much of a story. Vegas doesn't think it's much of a story either. No. The line on this game has not moved. So let's talk about Nebraska, Illinois. This game is being played in Champaign. It features the first game of head coach Brett Bielema at the University of Illinois. Nebraska's going in a 7-point favorite on the road. It being week 0, we don't have anything to go on as far as, what they're going to look like on the field this year, but we can look at last year and, kind of really get at least a little something of what we might expect to see. As far as Nebraska goes, they go by Adrian Martinez. He has, over the last 3 years, led the FBS in lost fumbles. Cannot hold on to the ball. 15 lost fumbles over the last 3 years, more than anyone else in FBS. He's also an injury. He gets hurt. The way he moves around, he just puts himself in a position to get hurt. Yeah, his completion percentage is high. Last year he completed 71.5% of his passes, but he only threw for 4 touchdowns.
That's insane.
So yeah, kind of put that together.
That's a weird stat.
Yeah, his number one receiver transferred to Louisville. Wan'Dale Robinson is gone. So, I just don't know what they have at wide receiver. Their offensive line is going to be good. Yeah. I think, they have one of the best, interior offensive linemen possibly in the country. Their center is really, really good. But if they can't keep Adrian Martinez upright, I don't know who's behind Adrian Martinez. Luke McCaffrey was there last year. He transferred out. Yeah, I mean, just as far as Nebraska's offense goes, I don't love it. Like, I don't know who's running the ball for them. I'm not sure they know who's running the ball for them. I don't know who's catching the passes for them. I know Adrian Martinez is throwing them in probably catchable balls when he has a clean pocket. But, I don't know.
Adrian Martinez is a stigma to me. It's rare that you find a fourth-year senior be a starting head coach, starting football starting quarterback for a football team. I'll get it out in a minute. But he's not a star, really. He's not like a stud that the whole country knows his name and opponents are afraid of him. Like, for you to be a 4-year starter, that means you started as a freshman. And is it, man, it's just his injuries, his lack of consistency has just kind of allowed for his star, quote unquote, to die out. You talked about how he leads all of college football in fumbles, but that leads into the enigma part of him. Most quarterbacks are going to be pulled if they fumble the ball as often as he does. If you turn the ball over as much as he does, you're not going to keep your job. He has kept his job throughout all of this, really only missing time due to injuries.
He did get benched last year for about half the season before he took the job back.
But he got the job back because they realized, all right, benching him wasn't the answer. Maybe it's not him. Maybe the problem's Frost. We definitely alluded to the fact that this is Frost's first year with seat getting a little warm here, getting a little toasty, things getting a little dicey in Big Red country. And I'm curious, the one side of the ball, we grow up. The reason we talk about Nebraska, the reason Nebraska is a household name is because of the Nebraska of the 90s, the 80s and the 90s. And we remember those black shirt defenses and how amazing they were. Defensive coordinator Eric Chandler, he has high hopes for the Huskers this year, but he's paid to. That's his job. That's his responsibility. He believes they could be a vastly improved defense from last year. I do not. I just don't. I got to see it. And even if they play great against Illinois, I don't know if that's enough evidence because I'm not 100% sure how great Illinois is.
Yeah, so let's talk about Illinois here. Brett Bielema comes in. He comes into a fairly empty cupboard. Got a bunch of transfers coming in. He's trying to do a rapid change in culture. He's trying to show that a head coach at the University of Illinois can have a pulse. I mean, I'm not here to bag on Lovie Smith, but we knew who Lovie Smith was as his tenure there ran on. As a Northwestern fan, I loved Lovie Smith as the head coach of Illinois because we knew we would be able to beat them every year. But Bielema comes in, his track record speaks for itself. He did great things at Wisconsin. He was put in a tough position at Arkansas. He had some success at Arkansas,
that's right.
but really wasn't given a fair shake by the Arkansas fans and kind of SEC country, if you will. But spent a little time in the NFL, is making his quote unquote triumphant return back to college football. I think in the long run, Bielema is a great hire for Illinois. But to start off, we'll see. They were not good last year. Brandon Peters is their quarterback.
Yep.
You might remember him from such starting quarterback jobs as Michigan before he transferred to Illinois. 53.8% completion percentage while he's been at Illinois. Nothing to really write home about. I don't love Brandon Peters, but Bielema's game is running the ball. Yep. He's got Chase Brown and Chase Hayden, a couple chases as they're on the running back crew. Brown was the Illinois' leading rusher last year. Hayden actually played for Bielema at Arkansas before he transferred to Eastern Carolina and then came to Illinois. This is his first year as a grad transfer. If Illinois is able to run the ball and control the clock, which I think they might be able to do, we'll see. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I love Brett Bielema. He's one of my favorite coaches. I believe that maybe not the Arkansas fans, but the Arkansas administration wanted a fast turnaround. But, you just cannot turn a ship around the way Arkansas was construed it. They were ready to run a super spread, high-powered, or I guess high-flying Bobby Petrino offense. And then they want to go to big, nasty, best offensive lineman in the country, pounding the ball, running the ball down your throat, putting 500 yards of offense on the ground. And they were thinking, we can do that overnight. Yeah, that's not how the offensive line works. You can go find wide receivers and running backs anywhere, shake enough, bushes, and they'll come running out. Guys have speed and talent all over this country. To find men that are that big, that strong, and that athletic to run the offensive line schemes that Brett likes to run takes time. Arkansas didn't realize that. I do think Illinois realizes it, which means how good is that line going to be this year? I think they're going to struggle, but I also think with scheming, with a little bit of fire under them, with a little bit of trust and revitalization by Brett and the coaching staff there, I think they're better than expected, which overall for the season, I'm probably not expecting a lot from them. In this game, as a touchdown dog, I think I'll take the touchdown head start. I think I'll take the home team, Sam. What about you?
No, I'm 100% with you on this. To be a home underdog by a touchdown over a team that just wasn't that good last year. Yeah. I give me the points for sure, but even more tasty, the money line, to win straight outright is plus 225. Yeah. I like that. I think, I legitimately think Illinois can win this game. And if you're going to give me plus 225 on that, give me Illinois outright. That's where I'm going.
Wow, that's a big game. I think they can win it too. I don't have the Stones view right now, but man, I like the bet. I like the play. I respect the action. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the next one. We're going to talk about Sam. We're going to talk about New York Times national champion UConn Huskies against Fresno State.
This is ridiculous to me. You told me about this. I had not seen this, but this is absolutely ridiculous that New York Times called UConn the national champion. What? Help me out here.
Guarantee you this. I can't help you. I can't explain that. That's not the world I live in. Look, I'm not, listen, I don't know. Okay, whatever. Randy Edsall 100% got a bonus for that though, right?
Sure.
There's no doubt Randy Edsall found a couple $1,000s in that contract that says, hey man, if any paper in the country names me national champion, I'm going to need a little bit of bonus here.
Yeah. So UConn didn't play at all last year.
That's right.
And
0 football games. And
the year before, 2019, they were lousy.
They're
2-10.
Pretty bad.
They have not played a game since November 30th, 2019. That's almost 2 whole years.
I'm going to bet that game didn't go well for them either. I don't know what it was. I don't know the schedule of it, the score of it. I'm going to bet it was a lot to a little.
It was, in fact, a lot to a little. Yeah, UConn is bad. We have no idea who's even going to play for them. I mean, how can you?
No, yeah, they didn't play last year. I got no idea who's coming back. We know nothing about this team.
But what I do know is that Fresno State is frisky.
Yep.
Kalen DeBoer, his first year as head coach there. They went 3-3 last year. Obviously, limited schedule, but they look decent. I mean, this is a team that I think could make a little bit of noise in the Mountain West. This is a big number.
It is a big number. So one of the people that the key that you got to look for in these things, this is what I look at, okay? When you're coming into week 0, week 1 games where we don't know anything about these guys, I believe that 80% of the stuff we hear about in training camp is all a lie. It's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors. You can't trust that. I'm going with coaches. I'm going with quarterbacks. I'm going with reputation and prestige. Here's what we've got. On one side, we've got Randy Edsall, who is 6-30 since returning to UConn, all right, since 2017. 3 seasons, 6-30. That's bad. The other side, Kalen DeBoer taking this thing over. They brought in a transfer quarterback. I'm gonna butcher this name, Jake Haynier. There's an N and then an ER, so I would normally just say Haney, but the ER throwing me off. So Haynier, maybe. I'm sure that sounds awful and is not right, but I like a team that you've got basically an old OC taking over as head coach, stepping into this position. He knows this team. He knows so much about them. He knows how to run them, and I believe he's going to say, you know what, I don't have what I need in the cupboard at the trigger man position. Let me go get that guy. And I trust that this grad transfer from Washington, if you were good enough to go play big boy Power 5, Pac-12 football, you got to be good enough to come down to Fresno and compete and play. And it's so nice to be able to start off with a team like UConn, where I just don't think these guys. I don't think you get better at practicing football. I think you have to play football. And the fact that they haven't played football in over a year, I just think, yes, minus 27.5 is a big number. If it was bigger than this, I would still take Fresno State, just for the simple fact that they might not cover this line. And this might be a losing pick. But there's no world in which, in good conscience, good faith, that I can put money on Randy Edsall and the UConn Huskies until watching them play at least a couple of games.
How big of a number would it need to be for you to maybe think about taking the points?
I think at 35, I'm starting to stay away, not bet it. And I think once we get to the 40s is when you start to get me to think, will I actually bet on UConn? So getting me to stay away is not hard. Getting me to not put my capital, my money, my hard-earned income on it is not that difficult. Getting me to actually bet UConn, man, I think that number has to get to the mid 40s. And the reason I say that is because I'm just betting then Fresno State's offense isn't that great and they just won't score that much. And this game ends up being a 38-0 ball game or a 38-3 ball game. And so if I'm in the mid 40s, I'm okay. I'm safe. That's the only thing that, that would get me to UConn to actually pull the trigger on UConn.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, 27.5 is a big number.
Big number.
But UConn is traveling across the country. I mean, body clock game.
Pretty long trek.
Make of that what you will, but 4 touchdowns, I think, against a team that hasn't played in 2 years. Give me the Huskies.
I will tell you, I will completely and utterly judge Fresno State off of this game for the rest of the year. If they don't cover this number and they go on to be undefeated, I'll be standing here in January, in December, telling you, this team's a fraud. How do you not cover against this trash opponent like UConn? Oh, I would say I hate it for UConn fans, but I don't. Outside of basketball, I don't know any UConn fans.
Yeah, how many UConn fans really are there?
They were in my conference. I'm living in Memphis, Tennessee right now. I am in the heart of the American, and I never ran into or discussed with any UConn fans at all. I've pretty much associated myself with some of every conference opponent that Memphis plays, just because people come to Memphis for games. And we run into them when you're walking in these circles and you're working in these circles. And I don't know of any at all.
Yeah, so I think we're both on Fresno on this one.
Minus the whole lot of points.
Yeah, next game to talk about, we've got the Rainbow Warriors of Hawaii traveling to the Rose Bowl to take on UCLA. The line here is UCLA by 17. And, I look at this as, Hawaii. I like what Todd Graham is doing at Hawaii. I think, it was a good hire when Nick Rolovich left for Washington State. Graham, I thought, was a decent hire. But it takes time. It takes time to build up a program, especially at Hawaii, where it's just a whole different, recruiting is just a completely different ball of wax. Chip Kelly's seat at UCLA isn't hot yet. But it might be starting to warm a smidge. Yep. I think that UCLA this year needs to show improvement. I think they need to kind of take that next step into upper echelon of the South. Maybe they need to beat USC. They need to look frisky. Yeah. If Chip Kelly wants to kind of stay there for the long haul, which, I don't know if he does or not, but, he did burn all of his bridges in the NFL. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, you talk about Adrian Martinez being an enigma. I think Dorian Thompson-Robinson is an enigma too, but DTR has a much higher upside, I think, than Adrian Martinez.
He can't play defense, all right? He has put up points, and he has impressed over the years. He's shown flashes of being really good. They've lost games where they've scored in the 40s. That ain't on him, man. Call me when Adrian Martinez does that.
So, UCLA coming in as a 17-point home favorite, I'm leaning towards the Bruins on this one.
Yeah. So, all right, I'll go the other way. I have Hawaii plus the points. That was my pick as soon as the line came out weeks ago. That was my pick last week when I started looking at them. That was my pick today. We're starting to record, and all I keep thinking of is if UCLA wins this thing, if Chip Kelly wins this thing by 3 touchdowns, I will not be surprised at all. This is the scariest of all of my picks. I'm with you. I like the Todd Graham hire. I think he's a good coach, and I think he's going to be good. You know what's funny? Growing up loving college football, and I played high school football for a bit, and I had some friends that were getting recruited. I once thought, why is Hawaii not the best school in college football? Yeah. Like, when I was in high school, if somebody came and was like, you can play football at Ohio State, and then somebody else came and said, you can come play football at Hawaii. Who in the hell is going to Columbus? I have spent a lot of time at Columbus. It's not a great city. What are we doing? The reason they wear gray pants there is because it's gray all the time. The sun doesn't come out ever, okay? I don't understand that. I think it's weird. Now that I'm an old man, I understand, that's a lot of work getting back and forth to Hawaii, traveling, all that stuff. But high school kids don't have that old man gene. Why are they not better? Anyway, different tangent for a different time. This offense still looks good. Todd, I think they're always going to be offensive-minded. I don't know that in my lifetime have they ever hired a defensive coach. And I don't know that they've ever had a great defense. I don't know that matters. I think they like to put points up. Think they like to have a lot of fun. And I think this team can be really, really good comparatively speaking to the Mountain West Conference, which means they can play the Pac-12 teams and some of the other better schools close. That's what I'm hoping for here.
So, the reason I'm leaning UCLA on this one is I think their defense is better. Do I think it's good? I don't know if I'm going to say it's good, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be better than it was last year. I think they will stop some drives.
I agree with that.
I think their offense is good. I mean, that is a good offense. They were in the top half of the Pac-12 last year. I think they're going to keep putting up points, and I think their defense is getting better enough that they're going to stop some drives and keep points off the board. 17 is a little bit larger than I would have liked to have seen. I would have been all over it at like 14, but Chip Kelly, I think, is going to want to show, especially in week 0, where you've got all the eyes on him, right? You want to make a statement, especially in a situation where there's no real games going on at that point.
Right. He's going to have TV to himself.
Yeah. So you want to make a statement. You're going to beat a team you're supposed to beat. The money line on this one isn't even worth talking about. I mean, UCLA is minus 925 on the money line. That's just not even worth mentioning.
Not for me. Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, UCLA wins this game. I like them at minus 17. So give me the points. I'm not betting against UCLA at home.
This is a rare time. I think I like your side better than my side. I believe in this pick. I like this pick. That's why I made the pick. I didn't make it to be contrarian. This is one of the rare times I'm going against best coach and best quarterback on the field. And that's not usually something I like to do. Let's move into the game where, man, I am having a really hard time even caring about this game, getting excited about it. Like, this is one of those, I haven't eaten for a month, and now I just feasted on some good food. Okay, I got Illinois and Nebraska, 2 big teams. I'm getting UCLA and Hawaii, 2 fun teams, and now I got to finish this course off, and it's just like, I don't want to eat this. I'm probably gonna eat it because I hadn't eaten in a long time, but I don't want to watch UTEP and New Mexico State.
Yeah, this is a rough one. These both of these teams were just flat out bad last year. I mean, New Mexico State is in a situation, they're an independent. With this conference realignment, things shake up even more. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how much longer they can realistically stay in the FBS. If they're not getting picked up by a conference, how much longer can they hang on?
I'm not sure why they want to. I think if they go into some of these conferences in the FCS, they would struggle to win games.
Yeah, no, I agree. And UTEP is, I mean, they're not good either. I mean, this is a team that,
here's the record.
They're losing games big, all up and down the board.
Here's the records for both of these head coaches. This is what we got. Okay, this is the completely movable object against the undoable of anything force. Okay, this is
stoppable force against the movable.
Yeah, the stoppable force. That's a good way of saying it. Better than my moronic way of saying it. Dana Dimel is in his 3rd year at UTEP. He's 5-27. Okay, 5-27. Not good. Now let's go to the Aggies. This is impressive. All right. I actually think this is really impressive. Doug Martin is 23-64. And the way you get 23 wins is you stay at a program for 8 years and be really bad, and you try to roll off 3 wins a season. That's how you get to 23. 23 divided by 8 is close. It's less than 3 wins a season. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, they're not good. Neither of these teams is good. But the reason why I'm going to bet where I'm going to bet is that New Mexico State is a 9-point home dog. That's too big of a number to be that much of a home dog. I don't know where they're going to find points. I don't know where they're going to stop points. But I do have a feeling this is going to be close, one way or the other. They're not losing by more than 9 to a team that bad at home.
Yeah.
So, give me New Mexico State. Give me the Aggies +9.
Oh, that is one of those. You just got to hold your nose and swallow the medicine hard. Look, I'm going to always tell you when we pick games, I'm going to tell you these are games we pick because we're breaking them down and they're the best games of the weekend. and I'm making a pick, but I don't have confidence. I don't have fervor behind it. I don't have any logic behind it either. I'm laying the points. I'm taking UTEP. Don't follow me on this one. You're just as moronic as I am. If you think you have stats or math to justify betting this game, if you're bored enough to watch this game, good luck to you. I'm not the expert for you for this one. What now?
Where is it even airing?
I'd be shocked if somebody doesn't pick this up. I mean, it might be, Fox Sports South 2 or something, but I may be wrong. Maybe it's not. Maybe we'll just all be relieved to not have it. We try to give you the most information we can on these teams. This is week 0 going into this, and these are 2 historically bad teams. If you were to take UMass and UConn and throw them in here, hell, UConn might be a 10, 15-point favorite against these teams, okay? Like, you're talking about 2 – my chair just flipped out on me. You're talking about 2 historically bad programs that I'm glad football's back, but I ain't miss it that bad.
Yeah, you look at some of the advanced metrics, and they got these 2 teams both at the very bottom of college football. So, yeah, any other week, we're not even talking about.
That's
this
right.
Game.
You don't hear it at all.
But this is week 0.
It's on the docket. We got to talk about it.
Yeah, this is the start of the season, and so football is football. If it's on TV, I'm going to tune in at least for a little bit, just because I've been starved for football. NFL preseason is NFL preseason.
This ain't a whole lot different than NFL preseason, except for this score matters.
Factor goes sure
to a record. This score matters.
Yeah, exactly. And, these stats go on the board. The wins and losses go on the board. So, so those are the 4 games of week 0. I'm excited. I cannot wait on Saturday before the games kick off, before Illinois and Nebraska get this thing going. We're going to be live. We're going to talk about kind of the latest developments. We're going to be on to give you our last minute thoughts on these games before they get going.
We'll pick a couple of prop plays, and we'll have some extra bets that obviously normally don't come out until the day of the game for those things. And that'll be the Saturday show that you guys can join in. This one is short because this is all we got. Yeah.
So, head on over to sportsbookreview.com to get all of the latest numbers. If there is any changes during the week, that's the best place to go and see if you're able to do some middling, do some hedging. If the lines are even moving all that much. Not sure if they are, but that's where you can go to find out. Click on the description below for links to all of the latest and greatest college football content. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and click on that little bell to get notifications when our next videos are coming up. Chris, always a pleasure, my man.
Yes, sir.
My name is Sam Walter. Find me on Twitter at num1021.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm Christopher Giannini. I'm at Chris B. Giannini. And thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you on Saturday.